FreeMMOStation.com.
Hello, this is Dalen75 Games, and you're watching a first look at Ensemble Online. Ensemble Online is being developed by a little-known company called Semi-Formal Studios, which surprisingly puts out a fair number of videos about their creation of this game on YouTube, yet have an extremely low subscriber count. So what is Ensemble Online? According to the website, Ensemble Online is an open-world sandbox strategy game with RPG elements in which you work together with friends to tactically control territory, harvest resources, and construct buildings anywhere on an expansive, real-time, persistent map. It's an MMO that centers around diplomacy, RPG elements, economics, and capturing land. Ensemble is a free-to-play, browser-based game, making it accessible to both the casual and hardcore player and allowing it to be played on PC, Mac, Linux, and a large number of smartphones and tablets. Currently, it's in open beta, and I found that signing up and designing your character is quick and easy. Because the game takes a bit of time to investigate the ins and outs of it, and there are many parts of the game, to summarize it, I'm going to paraphrase its various aspects from the official game's description. You can build cities, strongholds, or peaceful farming colonies. You can conquer certain areas and then defend them. The game world is very large, with more than 1.5 billion tiles. Resource hotspots can be found and contested, or you can go off and live on your own and hardly see anyone. There is much out there to find when exploring, including artifacts and outposts. Ensemble Online provides various ways to play it, from farming to combat. You can level up your skills by doing both, and you can unlock new skills and equipment. You can become proficient in magic or with different weapon types. This will be necessary to defeat the game's most powerful enemies. With diplomacy, you can create allies among other players, and they can then harvest your farms for you, and your towers will only attack enemies. In this way, towns can be formed by several different players that will defend its residents. The game takes place in a world named Sidonia. It has its own story and is part sci-fi, part fantasy, and part steampunk. In it, you use shotguns, magic, and swords to fight giant robots and wolves. Currently in its beta status, it has no sound whatsoever, so this should explain why you only hear my voice. And as with all free-to-play games, you have the option to spend real money to purchase in-game currency. Now, let's get to my opinion after playing for nearly 2 hours. The negatives. I found there to be many issues with the game in its current state. Take this with a grain of salt, however, because it's still in beta, and developers take a different stance with alpha and beta stage. Some want all the game's assets out in alpha, whereas others slowly introduce parts of it even into the beta phase. So it's difficult to criticize a game as it stands now, but from what I've played, I'm going to have to go with it as it stands now. The complete lack of sound for me is very jarring, and added to the general feeling of boredom that I felt. There is no real trailer for the game that I could find. This left me having to go look for something, anything, to inspire me to play the game. If you have absolutely no idea what you're getting into, like myself a couple of hours ago, then finding a decent trailer can immerse you into the spirit and provide an inner sense of direction on what I should be doing in the game. I realize that, yes, I am an old hand at gaming since I've been doing it for about 33 years now, and back in the earlier days one only had to go and find the game manual in the box to tell you how to play. However, those days are seemingly past us now, and the way you learn how to play today is with tutorials. Ensemble Online does have those, but they left me with a very uninspired feeling. Much of it is basic, in that the NPCs tell you this is how you should do it for combat or mining, and then you go out into the world beyond the starting town to do it, and that's about it. When you start out, there are dozens of NPCs around you, most of which walk around back and forth and spout a limited number of phrases in general chat that I originally mistook as coming from other players. I'm not sure why they did this, but I have a strong feeling that it has to do with welcoming new players and trying to make them feel like the game world is much more alive than it really is. I turned off NPC chat, and there was basically silence, until I attempted to find other players. Upon talking to other real people, I found that the world chat is pretty sparse and was about as barren as the landscape outside of the starting area. Combat is extremely simple. I used a sword on several wolves and found it to be unimpressive. Just finding resources to harvest was a game unto itself. I traveled around the area and got lost, found player settlements, and maybe ran into 3 resource nodes in an hour. The developers want you to build, and to do so you are allowed to place various constructions only at a certain distance from the starting town. Upon reaching the area allowing you to do so, you will be inundated with rows upon rows of just walls, towers, farms, and temples in a seemingly haphazard way. This again I found to be uninspiring. It makes me think that, well, we are allowed to build past this line, so let's just build whatever crap we can, just because we can. I think all MMOs that allow player building have to deal with something like this. However, some form of claim or a reason to build there would have been nice. Just take a look at EverQuest Landmark for some ideas there. I also ran into a fair bit of lag when playing, and at times I was clicking for upwards of 10 seconds to move my character and nothing happened. Finally, I found Ensemble Online to be definitely for the patient, and for those who might want to play something in the background so they can hear something beyond their mouse and keyboard, or their own breathing, and in my case, sighing. Now, the positives. Unfortunately, I cannot really name that many positives in the game as it stands right now. The graphics are simple, yet easy to understand and navigate by. Upon looking for how to do things, certain NPCs do tell you what you need to do, and they provide you with simple little quests to perform. Simple, yet, as I said, not terribly inspiring. There are a good number of skills in combat, harvesting, and construction to raise as you level. Bottom line. Despite my criticisms, I actually think that with a good amount of effort, this game could turn out half decent. Once sound is in, a good trailer for it is much needed. That and possibly a game intro video of some kind to give you perspective on what the game is about. With those in place, then I might change my opinion of the game. As it stands now, I found it terribly boring and uninteresting. Put in better animations, much less lag, and something to aim for beyond just building something out in the desert on your own, and the game could easily come alive. If you are into cutesy web games with big colorful hair, simple combat, harvesting, and construction, then this might be the game for you. Otherwise, I would recommend skipping it for something that has a heartbeat. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out my channel, Dalen75 Games. On my channel, you will find various role-playing and strategy games, as well as my current MMO, which is classic EverQuest, brought back to us with Project 1999.